Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Burke County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Monday, April the 20th, 2026 at 6 p.m. All of our commissioners are present tonight, along with the county attorney, finance officer, and our clerk. So welcome to everyone. And I'll ask you at this time to please silence any mobile devices that you have. Please be sure they're on vibrate and so that we will not to be disturbed during our meeting tonight. Remind all speakers as you come to the podium, please press the button on the right. Be sure the red light comes on so that we can hear you and get a good YouTube recording tonight as well. I don't see our Pastor Lovett present tonight to give our invocation, so I'm going to ask Commissioner Barrier to have our invocation in just a moment, and then after the invocation, we'll have Pledge of Allegiance. This will be presented tonight by our county attorney. Okay. So with that, I'll ask you to stand, and Commissioner Barrett, if you will, lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with gratitude just for the opportunity to serve. Grant us wisdom to make sound decisions, discernment to do what's right, and humility to listen well. Guide our discussions, unite us in purpose, and help us act in the best interests of those we represent. May our work here tonight be marked with integrity, respect, and a commitment to justice. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen, for leading our invocation and for leading our Pledge of Allegiance. This time, gentlemen, we have approval of agenda. Gentlemen, you've seen the agenda in advance. I will entertain a motion at this time to approve the agenda as presented.
Make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. It's 5-0. We have no minutes to approve tonight, so that brings us to item number 6, presentations. We have several presentation items tonight. And first one comes from Guardian ad litem, proclamation designating April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. This will be presented tonight by Amy Kincaid, our Guardian ad litem. Good evening, Amy. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. Good evening to our chairman, commissioners, and county manager. Thank you for the opportunity to stand before you today and for your leadership in recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month. Through your proclamation, your support sends a clear and I think powerful message that the safety and well-being of children in our community is not only a priority, but a shared responsibility. I want to publicly thank Commissioner Mike Stroud for speaking at our Child Abuse Awareness Ceremony and his energy in proclaiming we're all in for the children. And let me say, we have to be all in for our children. If you're familiar with the Bible, it gives us a clear directive on how Jesus felt about children and widows. I appreciate the support that you're providing to the Department of Social Services and other agencies in this county offering support to families in need. Child abuse prevention is not the work of one agency or one group of individuals. It requires collective commitment from our government leaders, our educators, law enforcement, advocates, and our citizens. It is all of our responsibility to make sure children are safe, supported, and given an opportunity to thrive. I asked myself, is it important to come today and speak? And my spirit said yes. It is, because our children deserve a voice. They deserve to be a part of every conversation and agenda, and not just in April, but every day. Thank you again for your commitment, your partnership, and your leadership. I believe if we do take a stand together, we can build a strong community that is safe, nurturing, and a hopeful environment for each and every child. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you to the Guardian Ad Litem program for all the work that you guys do for our children all the time in our county and in our community. Gentlemen, you have in your package tonight proclamation number 2026-04, as Amy has just talked about and given some highlights from. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve proclamation number 2026-04 as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. That's 5-0, Madam Clerk. All right, second item on presentations tonight comes from Community Development. Recognition of Janie Estrada, NCSSM's Assistant Director of Student Services. This will be presented tonight by Sarah Shabane, our Planning and Trails Specialist. Good evening, Sarah.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, fellow county colleagues, and members of the public. I am honored to introduce and recognize Janie Estrada. She is the Assistant Director of Student Services at the North Carolina School for Science and Math at the Morganton campus. NCSSM hosts a school-wide day of service each year on Martin Luther King Jr. Day and regularly provides meaningful volunteer opportunities for students across the communities it serves. Janie leads and coordinates this impactful day of student volunteerism in addition to her many other responsibilities, like finishing up prom recently. This year, Janie organized and coordinated 277 student volunteers who actively participated in 16 service projects. While some of the projects were hosted on campus, most service activities took place in the Morganton community, allowing 185 students to directly engage with and support local organizations. Some host organizations included Burke County Animal Services, Friends of Valdez Rec, and they joined me at Fauna Flora County Park. The majority of student projects ran for approximately 2 hours, and while one service project extended over 7 hours, the students collectively contributed approximately 400 hours of community service in one single day. Janie and the students are deeply grateful to the community organizations and site leaders who host and mentor them, making this work possible throughout our community. This provides strong and lasting partnerships. In addition, it took many faculty and staff to assist in transporting and chaperoning the students. Recognition is requested for Janie Estrada for her leadership, coordination, and dedication to fostering civic engagement and service among students, and for the continued collaboration between the NCSSM and Burke County community partners that makes volunteerism such a success. Please introduce Janie. Come on.
Janie, we thank you for your efforts at the School of Science and Math. The school's been a great partner for our county, and we're going to come around. We're going to take a picture and give you a commemorative walking stick today. So thank you very much. If you'd like to say a word, feel free to do that too. This brings us to item number 3 in presentation tonight. This comes from our Emergency Medical Services Recognition of Lifesavers. This is going to be presented tonight by James Robinson, our Emergency Services Director. Evening, James.
Good evening, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to come this evening. We try to do this on a quarterly basis. We got a little bit busy on the last quarter with some things going on, so we're running about a month behind. So I think the opportunity to come in this evening and speak to you about some folks that truly make an absolute difference in our community every single day. Here we go. We always try to show this slide in the very beginning. Obviously, public safety and the well-being of our community is number 3 focus area for our board's strategic planning. And it's important to remember that Burke County Emergency Services runs underneath a system plan. And that system plan is outlined. You can see the administrative code that's up there for us. But importantly, we run in partnership with all of our first responder agencies within our fire departments and in our community. The dual response allows the people in the community, the firefighters and first responders that are there, to oftentimes get there before the EMS providers, unless it's just happenstance that an EMS unit is right there on top of the call. We're going to showcase a little bit of that tonight because I think it's extremely important to know and understand. So a little bit of statistics. Last year for Burke County Emergency Services, we had 22,017 ambulance transports. That is a busy, busy year. The number continues to go up. That's 17,701 that came in through 911 or were 911 originated calls, and then 4,316 medical transports. Our average time for response is 8 minutes and 33 seconds. But it's very important. We always talk about this time. We've talked about it over and over again since I became the Director of Emergency Services. How do we reduce the time till an EMS provider gets there and makes patient contact? But I think in a couple of these examples today, we're going to outline that it's not just the time, it's about the people. It's about the individuals that respond and the care that they provide when they do get there, because they're trained, they're professional, and they make a difference. So this particular call, which occurred on January 4th, which is not an uncommon occurrence for our first responders to be alerted with our EMS agency. They were dispatched to a fall call. Upon arrival, they were trying to get into the patient's home, which was locked. That too is not uncommon for us to have happen. We worked through our communication center. We were able to get a neighbor that was coming by. There was an elderly female that was inside the home who had fallen down. They were able to gain access. This note that you can see on the right-hand side came to us from a family member. Ultimately, their loved one, who was extremely confused that day, did not want to go to the hospital. But because of first responders, because of the EMS crew that responded, they said, you really need to go with us. There could be something that's going on. We just don't feel right leaving you here at home. Ultimately, the care that they provided and the recognition of what they could see going on with that patient took that patient to the hospital where she had a bleed in her brain. That patient was never able to come home, but her family got to spend the time with her that they needed until she ultimately expired. The family member came through, the daughter came to us, and she brought cookies and snacks, and she wanted us to make sure that we discussed 2 providers specifically from EMS and a first responder that responded that day. Smiley Burgess with Station 99 Rescue. Smiley, if you'll come up. Serrano and Miss Greaser, if you'll come up. So this is by far what we do it for. Smiley, come on up here. This crew recognized that this patient had fallen down, she'd hit the back of her head, and that she needed to go to the hospital. And while we couldn't make a difference in that moment, the care that was provided, the daughter said made a difference to her mother and made a difference to them in the long term. So we want to recognize them, not for lifesavers, but for compassion champions, for being there, for being patient advocates, for making a difference every single day in our community. Once you get your coin and your certificate, if you'll step to the side, we'll do the others, and then we'll bring everybody up at the end. Thank you. Slide over there. Partners in patient care. So you've heard me talk about it makes a difference. And this is one of those that you just have to have the luck and the good Lord on your side. So on March the 4th, 2026, Salem firefighters just happened to be over at the Dollar General where they were helping out. They were doing some grocery shopping, and the call came in. And Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, he's sitting in the back. Pager went off for a cardiac arrest in the very store that he was shopping in. Talk about having the good Lord on your side. He goes out to his vehicle. Salem Fire Department has chosen to purchase AEDs which match what the county uses, which is his old product that we use. so that everything is interchangeable across the board. So when we apply pads, when we do different things, all of that is interchangeable with the care so that there's no delays in the patient care that we're providing. There's also no gaps in what we're doing. High quality CPR was performed. Justin defibrillated once on scene before EMS ever arrived and then went back to further CPR. EMS crews arrived along with other fellow firefighters from Salem. Ultimately, this patient was shocked 3 times, was transported to Fry, received cardiac care, and was discharged home from the hospital without any further complications. This is proof that every second counts. And we want to recognize Salem Fire Department and all of its members that are here with us this evening. They have several members that are working this evening that couldn't be here, but that's the life of a volunteer. We're in the right place at the right time, and we answer the call when it does come in. As well as our EMS providers. Come on up, guys. And Chief Charles Autry is going to be receiving the certificates for those members that were at the scene, but were unable to make it this evening.
Thank you. May I add just a couple things to what he said? Salem had 7 firefighters respond to this emergency. Only 3 of them could be here tonight. The other 4 are all at work. One of the 3 that's here, Justin Taylor, is actually wearing his EMS uniform. He's on duty with EMS tonight. And I say that to point out that all of our volunteers have other full-time jobs. They have family responsibilities, church responsibilities, community responsibilities, yet they find the time to prepare for, to train, and to respond to emergencies in our own community. And I thank them for that, and I thank their families for allowing them to take all this time to protect their communities.
You guys to slide to the side and
Thank you, sir. Okay.
one more. This one's a super interesting case to me. So as Chief Autry said, everybody has a job that's in the volunteer fire service, and some of us take us outside of our communities, and we travel quite a ways to work. Stephanie, can you come up? Stephanie travels a long way to work, over an hour one way to work every single day. And on March the 26th, 2026, she was driving down the interstate and she watched an accident occur. Vehicle rolled over, is my understanding. There was injuries that were involved, and when she made contact to the patient as a volunteer firefighter and first responder, she had her gear with that. Chief Winters, if you'd like to step up here as well, is provided by Oak Hill Fire and Rescue. She didn't hesitate. She did what we as first responders don't even think twice about doing. She pulled somebody out of a car, she provided chest compressions, and she defibrillated with an AED that was provided by a volunteer fire department. Ultimately, this patient survived because of the actions of Stephanie. And we want to recognize her as being a good Samaritan, stopping outside of Burke County. She was in another county when she stopped, rendering care that saved a life. This is the difference right here. Chief Winters, do you have anything you want to say?
We're very proud of Stephanie's efforts. She does a great job, even trying to talk her into drive fire trucks. So, we'll see how that goes. But thank y'all for your time. Thank you, Stephanie.
And while you gentlemen gather down here for pictures with everybody, I'll just fill you in. I have one further fill in. There's no award that goes with this, but this I think goes a long way to talking about the impact that we made. On April 2nd, 2026, a former patient of ours came by to speak to Captain Brossecker at EMS Station 7. Captain Brossecker didn't know the impact that we made that day for this patient. This gentleman came in, he was an amputee. Ultimately, we have already recognized these individuals for the care that they perform, but he wanted to make sure that we went above and beyond to say thank you to them. This gentleman was out spreading gravel when the truck jumped out of gear. The truck rolled forward, it pinned his legs underneath the truck. In attempting to get the vehicle free, his arm went up, and when the dump bed slammed shut, it amputated an arm, caused catastrophic damage there. He came by to say the difference that we made. He spent several months in rehab, had to have multiple surgeries, but he wanted to say thank you to everybody that responded that day. He couldn't be with us this evening, but wanted to make sure that we recognized every one of those individuals. And when we say it's everybody that gets involved, we had first responders, we had our assistant medical director, and we had EMS crews that all responded. Ultimately, the patient was flown and was provided the best care that he could have for the positive outcome. I just want to take a moment to individually say thank you to each and every one of you for doing the job that you do every single day and making the impact in our communities, because you are the reason. You are the reason a lot of people are still here. You make the difference. So thank you very much.
I want you guys to come back up front and stand right here in front and face the audience. We're gonna come down and get a picture. James, you and you guys, the chief, y'all come on up and get with your folks. If you're part of this team, right, let's give another hand. I know that I can speak for this board in thanking you for all that you do every day, every night, every holiday, every time it seems your family's got things to do and you're called away. Again, we thank you for all that you do for our communities, and we appreciate you so much. This brings us to presentation number 4, coming from the Board of Commissioners. And it's my pleasure tonight to recognize our President and CEO of Burke Development Incorporated, Mr. Alan Wood. Alan's been with us a number of years, and as much as we hate to let him go, he thinks it's time to retire. And so, Alan, I'm going to ask you to come forward just for a moment. And I know you love this kind of stuff. And I want to say just a few words. Alan, if you'll just come and stand right here for just a moment and face the audience. And we want to recognize you for the work and efforts that you've done in Burke County. And I just want to highlight this resolution just briefly. Whereas strong communities are built through partnerships between local government, economic development organizations, and business and industry leaders, Burke Development plays a vital role in recruiting new industries, supporting existing businesses, and promoting job creation and investment in Burke County. Mr. Wood, through his leadership and service with Burke Development, has supported economic growth, expanded opportunities for our citizens, and strengthened the tax base of Burke County. Mr. Wood has demonstrated professionalism, dedication, and a strong commitment to the citizens of Burke County through his efforts to support responsible growth, job creation, and economic opportunity. The Burke County Board of Commissioners recognizes that successful economic development requires vision, cooperation, and long-term commitment, and that Alan Wood has been an important part of those efforts. Alan's 11 years of service to Burke County have made a lasting impact on our community, and upon the occasion of his retirement, it is fitting that we recognize his contributions and express our appreciation. Now be it resolved that the Burke County Board of Commissioners hereby expresses its sincere appreciation to Mr. Wood for his service, leadership, and contributions to Burke County through his work with Burke Development, and congratulates him upon his retirement. Let's give Alan a hand. Alan's wife is with him tonight. I'm going to ask her to come up and stand with him. We're going to come around, take a picture. We've got a plaque that we want to present and a walking stick. And again, Alan, thank you for all that you've done to make Burke County a better place to live and work. And I know that you've got some fun times ahead. All right, again, Alan, thank you for being here with us tonight. And again, thanks for all your work for Burke County. Our last presentation item tonight is also a recognition from the Board of Commissioners. This is recognition of our tax administrator on his retirement.
Chair, I've got a point of order. I think we need to, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-10 as presented.
All right, you're right. Thank you very much. You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0. Thank you very much. Now we're going to recognize our tax administrator on his retirement, Mr. John Bridgers. John, come on up. We appreciate the work that John has done here for us in Burke County. We want to take time to recognize him tonight as well. We have something that we want to present to him, also a walking stick, and we're going to take just a moment, John, to come down and present that to you. And again, we appreciate all your efforts as well. All right, this brings us to item number 7 of our agenda, scheduled public hearings. We do have one public hearing tonight. This will be presented tonight by our Community Development. Consideration to amend Article 8, Administration and Enforcement of the Burke County Zoning Ordinance and Public Hearing. This is going to be presented tonight by Patrick Dickinson, our planner. Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening to the board. We have a pretty minor text amendment that we're bringing before you guys tonight. This really is modifying our membership structures and the duties for the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Board. This is kind of streamlining our operations and also kind of bringing in our practices into codification. Some of those key changes is the Board of Adjustment is going to be restructured to consist of our 7 regular members. Right now we have 2 alternative members in the code, and we're going to bring that into the 7 members so everyone can participate at every meeting. The other key change is the standardized term limits. Both the Planning Board and the Board of Adjustment will be a maximum of 3 consecutive terms now. They'll continue to be staggered as they currently are. The next one is the clarification of the BOA duties, specifically with variances. This basically specifies that hardships must result from property conditions such as location, size, or topography rather than personal circumstances. This is aligning more with 160D in the state statutes. And then further with the planning board duties, codifying that they are to to be working on consistency statements, zoning maps, and text amendments, and then also explicitly includes the administrative review of major subdivisions and then the ongoing maintenance of the county's comprehensive plan. And that's pretty much all of those major changes. Do y'all have any questions for me?
All right, thank you, Patrick. Gentlemen, you've heard this information. We had some review at our pre-agenda meeting as well. Just before I open the public hearing tonight, are there any questions for Patrick from the board? All right, seeing here none, at this time I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here tonight to speak to this item? Seeing here none, I will close. I will close the public hearing. And with that, gentlemen, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2026-03 as it relates to zoning text amendment 2026-01, amending Article 8 of the Burke County zoning ordinance as outlined in Exhibit A to 1, restructure the Board of Adjustment by eliminating alternate members and establishing 7 regular members. 2, standardize term limits for both the Board of Adjustment and Planning Board to a maximum of 3 consecutive terms. 3, clarify the duties and variance criteria of the Board of Adjustment. And 4, modernize and clarify the duties of the Planning Board, including consistency statements and administrative review responsibilities. The Board of Commissioners finds this amendment to be reasonable and in public interest and consistent with the goals of the Blueprint Burke Strategic Land Use Plan because it promotes efficient and consistent board operations and participation. It clarifies regulatory procedures and decision-making standards, and it supports community advancement by improving ordinance structure and planning processes.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Barry. Gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. All right. Just before we move on to item number 8, which is informal public comments, meant to do this before we got to the next item, but during Mr. Wood's retirement recognition, I also want to recognize our replacement for Mr. Wood in Burke Development. Brandon happens to be here tonight. Brandon Roop has joined us, and we look forward to working with Brandon and appreciate him being here tonight to be with us, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from Brandon in the days ahead. So welcome, and we look forward to working with you. Now, this does bring us to informal public comments tonight. I'll recognize our clerk. Do we have anyone signed up to speak tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have 2 people who have pre-registered to speak. The first one is John Clark.
Okay, Mr. Clark, you will state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Chairman. My name is John Clark. I live at 3241 Rondell Childress Street. Back on? So with the proposed data center that's proposed for Klein Park Drive Court, I have some current concerns. I live very close to that area. We've lived here in Hildebrand for 5 years now. And doing my rabbit hole search, late at night, I guess the things that came to me were the amount of usage and the discussion about the status of this. I've been to town meetings, talked with town council. There doesn't seem to be a whole bunch out there. And I realize that it's an infantile stage for the data center. The property has been purchased in 22, I believe. We're now at 26. They bought a little bit more property. They paid $1 million for the property. That's pretty significant for a piece of land in Hildebrand, North Carolina, according to the records that I can find. I believe you got notes from Kat about my notes that I was per tonight. There are references on the back for everything that I bring up. So we have that. The electrical usage for a 200-watt proposed data center, based on an article that I received from WRAL. They did their article based on 300. I kind of did the math, did ours on 200, which is what DigiPower X proposes. That's 133,000 homes that that data center has the potential to use to power its business. We have in Hildebrand 800 households. So that's 160 times the amount of power that our homes use just to power this plant. The water usage is 4,000 gallons a day for a megawatt facility, for the 200 megawatt facility. 800,000 days, or excuse me, 400,000 gallons for a megawatt facility per day. A 200 megawatt facility would be 800,000 gallons a day. Our town uses 180,000 gallons a day. So the data center will use 4 times the amount of water that's available through our ecosystems. I hear about the closed looping. There's another whole myriad of questions that takes you down to a rabbit hole. The risk of that is the shortages for water, rate hikes, and infrastructure strain that's bound to have on us. It's a small town. The noise, cooling fans and chillers run 24/7. The average decibel reading from my home where I live on Rondell Childress and Wilson Road is 50 to 54 on a busy time, which is 7:30 to 8 o'clock in the morning with all the traffic. Near the data center, it can be up to 90 decibels a day, just from that constant hum and roar. So again, not a good quality of life for the people who live right next to it. Air emissions, dozens of diesel backup generators, releases PM2 particles, which are carbon emissions. They're released into the air. There's no way to contain them once they're out there. So what effect does that have on environment and our quality of life? I don't know yet at this time. I'm not the expert on that. I just know that I've read it and studied it some. It brings health risk to people with asthma, breathing conditions, children. So stuff we just have to be aware of from a small town in Burke County. The economic impact, which is I think the thing that scares me the most. I'm retired. I have a comfortable life, but I also live within my means. And Hildebrand's median household income is $53,000 according to the U.S. Census Bureau. So again, just Hildebrand. That's below the average. The power structure could bring in more higher utility bills, higher taxes, infrastructure costs, pass-throughs. And I guess the bottom line, there's no permanent jobs in this process. The builders will come in, but it's a portable system. So it's like set up walls and walk away like a Lego build. City scales, consumption of the small working class town, the noise emissions, the water and the strain, the grid pressure, residents carry the burden, corporations receive the incentives. This project does not fit in our neighborhood. It should not move forward without full community consent. And I ask one final question. If we have the 83 acres at the Burke County Industrial Site, why isn't this put there? Why is it into a neighborhood? I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Others?
Yes, Belinda Klein.
Hello, Belinda. He actually covered a lot of stuff, but I want to also talk about the data centers, but I don't want to just talk about Hildebrand only. I want to talk about Burke County altogether. The idea that AI data centers are going to create jobs is just not true. It'd be very few jobs, if any. They're not going to just hire local people. It'd be specialized. It's not worth it. What we are being asked as a community to sacrifice for an AI data center is not worth it. It's, you can't get it back. You're talking about our water, our land, our air. You're talking about our children's future. They're not old enough to come up here yet and say, hey, save our water, save our land, save our future. And as a mother, that's what I'm here to do. So some of us were at the Hildebrand Council meeting. We asked questions and they didn't really have a whole lot of answers. I understand that you guys may not have a whole lot of answers right now, but we do want answers. We hold you accountable for our futures and our children's future. The questions are who's fighting to stop it and who's for it. We're the ones who are going to pay the price, not just financially, but like he said, with our health. Our environment will be harmed and it will be stuff we can't undo. So, like I said, he covered quite a few things, so give me just a second. Because I do want to talk about the closed loop system theory a little bit more, because I know that's a selling point. Supporters like to say to everybody, oh yeah, you're going to fill it with potentially 50,000 to a million gallons of water, and then you're going to do that one time and it's just going to loop through the system. And it's not true. It's not true, because there's evaporation. And besides the fact that evaporation happens, well, this system is going to require cleaning, because what's going to happen is blowdown. And blowdown is extremely contaminated water that gets blowed back into the aquifers, which a lot of people's wells are dependent upon. In some places, the blowdown is going directly back into the rivers, and there are people, it's very easy to find through a Google search that doesn't require AI. We don't have to have AI in our world. We were doing just fine with Google before AI, okay? So you can do a Google search. You can go to and disable your AI. It's not that hard. And find news stories of people who are getting this sludge out of their faucets because they have data centers, AI data centers close to their homes, and it is in fact draining their wells. Again, the blowdown is very contaminated water. A couple of weeks ago, the Environmental Management Committee was in Hickory, and they're trying to pass some things that the industrial people are wanting them to pass, to just say that our water treatment facilities don't have to filter because, well, they don't have the capability to filter these PFAs and these other contaminants that these AI data centers will pick up. So I will wrap it up by saying that there is really no such thing as a closed loop system. The water, the energy that it's going to require to keep these data centers, their chips cool, is going to fall on us, okay? And there needs to be some accountability. You guys represent us, and you should have our best interest at heart, not just a few jobs that aren't going to amount to anything. It's not just about our water. It's like he said, our air, our land, the noise, it's nonstop. We do not want data centers in our counties. Please,
Thank you, Ms. Klein.
keep us in the loop.
Thank you. Of course, this is public comment time, and normally we don't make comments, and not really in the form of a comment. And I think you guys probably already know this. Hildebrand, of course, has their own planning and zoning commissions and boards, and so this board will not have a say in their process per se. But we do appreciate your comments here tonight. We appreciate you being here and understand what you're saying. Okay. All right, let's finish up our public comment period tonight. Let's move on to our consent agenda. I'll ask our county manager to review our consent agenda at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several items for consideration this evening. As you'll recall, each of these were covered in depth at your pre-agenda meeting 2 weeks ago. So bear with me as I work through these. Item 1 for consideration is a proclamation for this board declaring May 7th as our National Day of Prayer. I would point out that the chambers will be open that day for anyone who wishes to come and take part. Item 2 is from the clerk's office, and this is for reappointments to our child protection and child fatality prevention team. That would be for seats 3 and 12 for Chief James Robinson and Sheriff Andy Heintzman. Item 3, also from the clerk's office, is an appointment to the Transportation Coordinating Committee. That would be to appoint Patrick Dickinson in place of Alan Glimes, who's retired. Item 4 is also from the clerk's office, appointment to the Council of Aging to vacant seat number 8. Item 5 is a resolution, and as we mentioned at our pre-agenda meeting, from the Disabled Veterans Association, Commissioner Smith has recommended that we revisit the Burke County Veteran Services Advisory Board bylaws, and two members of that board, Gary Jennings and Jim Gribble, are here if there's any questions. But formalizing that process and adopting bylaws will give, we think, that board the ability to make more of an impact in our veteran community. Several budget amendments for consideration this evening. Item 6 is budget amendment number 20 on the year. This is recognizing $110,854 in state revenues. There are no match in public health. This will be invested into the electronic medical records and specifically retention of existing medical records. Item 7, budget amendment number 21, is a request to budget $550,000 from the Department of Environmental Quality, again, a state grant with no local match for our sewer meter project. Item 8, budget amendment number 22, is a request to budget $275,000 and in our expense line in our detention facility for inmate meal plan. And I would point out our population's been higher this year as we've partnered with surrounding counties to house outside inmates, and all of that is offset by new revenue, so no impact on the county budget. Item number 9 is budget amendment number 23. This is a request to budget additional state dollars for Tropical Storm Helene disaster recovery funds in the Department of Social Services, and this will be used in our special assistance program for adults that are in our protection custody for things like utilities and other types of costs like that. But state dollars and no local match. Item number 10 is budget amendment number 24, and that is a request of $50,000 in our LINKS funds. As you all recall, the LINKS program is for aging out foster youth as they get on their adult way and look things for like first month's rent and those type of things. Item number 11, budget amendment number 25, is a request to budget $232,656 in special adoption funds. Again, state dollars, no local match. This is used for adoption promotion, marketing, advertising, legal expense, those type of things for kids inside of our foster system. Item number 12, budget amendment number 26, the request to budget $1,086,095. This would be in the Department of Social Services for foster care board payments. Item number 13, budget amendment number 27, is a request to budget $196,700 for fire tax. As you all recall, our volunteer fire service, each department levies a portion of fire tax, and we've over collected on that, so we need to budget the excess so that we can pay that out. Item number 14, budget amendment number 28, is the annual appropriation and transfer for the Western Piedmont Community College Capital Reserve in the amount of $425,000. Item 15 is from our finance department. This is public school capital fund applications, as well as a transfer for the new central office. There's several projects associated with the lottery fund drawdown that has no impact on the county budget. The transfer from school capital reserve to their capital project fund for their central office is $870,494. And as we discussed, that has been approved by the school board. Item number 16 is a request to approve the sale of surplus property for read number 12638 in the amount of $5,000. At your February 16th meeting, it was one of 3 that were declined. Each of those were reposted. This is the one that met reserve. The 2 that did not meet reserve will be considered later in the agenda. Item number 17 is consideration for an extension of USDA lease renewal for space. It's 5 years, $67,775. As you know, they share space at our agriculture building. Item 18 is a proclamation for National Public Health Week. Item number 19, several modifications administratively to the personnel policy. And finally, for consideration, item number 20, which is a resolution authorizing the county to participate in the latest round of opioid settlement litigation. And this will be for 6 pharmaceutical distribution companies. The amount is not yet determined, but this gives the county the ability to be a part of that multi-jurisdictional litigation. I know that was a lot, but happy to answer any questions you may have, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any questions on any of the consent agenda items? See and hear none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, all those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. And that motion was to approve the
Yes, sir.
consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Yes, sir. All right. Item number 10, items of decision. We have several items of decision tonight. First one coming from our clerk, appointments and reappointments to the America 250 Committee. This will be presented by Cat Wright.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have several seats with terms that expired April 16th. And all of the current appointees have reapplied except for Ms. Deborah Jones. And currently there aren't any applicants who meet the qualifications for that seat. But seat number 14 is an at-large seat occupied by Leslie McKesson, but we also have applications on file for Marcelo Aranda, Christopher Castles, and Jody Volker.
All right. Thank you, Cat. Okay, gentlemen, we'll take these one item at a time. First one, I entertain a motion to remove Waits Gordon from the America 250 North Carolina Committee roster due to his passing and to extend the board's condolences and appreciation for his service to Burke County. And we do want to extend those condolences to the family. Waits was quite an active member in our community, done lots and lots of work in many different areas, and very sad to hear of his passing. So, gentlemen, I'll entertain that motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0. All right. Second motion to appoint Butch McSwain to the America 250 North Carolina Committee, seat number 2, Morgan City Council, for a 3-year term ending April 15th, 2029. Do I have that motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Stroud. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0. Third motion to appoint Corwin Keys to the America 250 North Carolina Committee, seat number 5, History Museum, for a 3-year term ending April 15th, 2029. Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. Motion to appoint Bryant Lindsay to the America 250 North Carolina Committee, seat number 11, for a 3-year term. He's representing the Over Victory North Carolina State Trail, I believe is what that stands for. A term ending April 15, 2029.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0. Now that brings us to the at-large seat, seat number 14, where we have several folks who have applications on file. Gentlemen, I will entertain nominations for this seat number 14.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to reappoint Leslie McKesson of America 250 Committee.
I have a nomination for Leslie McKesson. Any other nominations? Seeing here none, I'll close the nominations. All those in favor of electing Ms. McKesson, signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. All right. This brings us to item number 2 of decisions, approval of interlocal development agreement. This will be presented by our county manager, Mr. Epley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. An item that we've discussed many times over the last 5 or 6 months that falls under the community advancement focus area of your strategic plan, as well as physical stewardship. And we're here to talk about trying to induce housing. As we know, we've been in the midst of a housing crisis where supply has significantly lagged behind demand, driving up prices. But it also has, as we know, both workforce and payroll being in our community, as well as the tax base created by real property investment helps on the fiscal stewardship side. So really an area that touches 2 of your 5 focus areas. Just quickly, you'll recall some of this data that from the 2023 housing study that we conducted with Bowen National Research, and we've tried to leverage that feasibility analysis to meet with developers and to try to really work with our legislators also on better understanding how we may leverage public policy to create housing opportunities for Burke County. This is just some of the data that shows the some of our demographic and age changes, and we've talked about many times that we appear to be a community that's aging in place, and part of that is availability of housing, and how that also simultaneously on parallel track impacts economic development policy with workforce age. And also the challenge of the number of folks who commute here to work, and the idea and the concept that if those folks had the ability to obtain housing here, that would have a positive impact on our community. We know that a large part of the folks who work here are driving, in some instances, more than 50 miles one direction. We think that could be a target audience. What we have seen, and we've talked about inbound migration and the average, our population has seen incremental growth, but most of that is from folks over the age of 55 moving in from the Midwest and from the Northeast and the far South, and oftentimes they're buying real estate cash in hand or sight unseen. But what we've seen really over the last 3 years is a vacuum of available supply, which again tends to lead to increasing prices. So from March of 23 to 24, the average list price increased by almost 24%, another 6.5% from 24 to 25. And we've seen that really continue not only in for sale housing, but also in market rate rentals. You can see here on the right, this was available rental space for 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartments and housing, and the price differential between 2018 and 2023, in most cases almost doubling. And then the conclusion of the housing study is a significant shortage of units. And so one of the recommendations that came out of that study was to look for opportunities where you can in local government to reduce the regulatory environment, the site civil development costs, which this board has been working on with development density, and you're currently working through, our planning staff is working through a major subdivision ordinance rewrite, and all of those things we think will remove barriers and provide access to development. But the other component was, even if the code is inviting to development, you have to have public infrastructure. You can't develop property without public water, public sewer. And so this board worked with our state legislators to create a housing inducement fund that could be utilized via municipal grant systems to expand local infrastructure to properties that may be suitable for housing but lack that infrastructure component. And the idea is, as vertical development happens and property taxes begin to come back after there's taxable property there, those initial property tax dollars will go back into this fund to create a sustainability lens that can then be lent to other projects and programs, again, specifically for the purpose of inducing housing. The first project that we have for your consideration, hopefully of several more in the pipeline, is with a partnership with the town of Valdez. The name of the project is Valdez Bluff. It's owned by a developer called Natural Land Alliance, with the owner's name is Larry Bragg. He has proposed a 140 unit residential single-family home development adjacent to Drone High School. The average value is in the $350,000 range. This would generate, when fully built out, estimated tax base of about $49 million, but also provide a meaningful housing supply. You can see the plat here as drawn out. The challenge with this property is that it has topography challenges, and there's currently no sewer to the property, which prevents the density development. The town can serve it, but again, it needs a sewer pump station because of the topography. The town originally received a grant from the North Carolina General Assembly back in 2021, and the cost estimate at that time was about $800,000. But they never reached a final agreement with the developer. In 2023, 2024, Chairman Britton and I began a conversation with the town again after the completion of the housing study about how do we help this project advance. At that time, the project had doubled in a matter of only 3 years. And we were really tasked with how do we bridge that gap, and that's where this housing inducement fund came from. And the second phase is an additional $800,000. Essentially, the town and the county would split it. The county's portion would be a grant to the county's portion would be a grant to the town of Valdez from this state grant. So no local money, no taxpayer money. It's utilizing state grant to provide that to the town to construct that lift station. As I mentioned, when all the homes are built, it'll be about $49 million, and that'll take some time. But phase one is really the purpose of this development agreement as it's authorized under 160D, and we've of course worked with the county attorney's office to put this in front of you for consideration. It says that the local governments, meaning the town of Valdez, must provide a force main via pump station for sewer within a 3-year time frame. The developer must do all the on-site infrastructure, civil site work, and vertical build. They're partnering via joint venture with Moss Marlowe, who we're familiar with. They have to meet the schedule. They have to comply with the development ordinance. Again, the 3-year deadline for the first 27 homes to be delivered. Anything that they don't miss will be covered by a deed of trust, and they have to pay back for every unit that's not delivered on time, $14,440. So there are also penalties to the developer for on a per dwelling unit for homes that don't meet that value to make sure that we have the appropriate clawbacks for any type of investment. I mentioned the deed of trust, but we also may foreclose on the undeveloped portion of the property. That'll be included in that contractual and binding agreement. There are amendments that can be had, but any major change would require an additional public hearing and mutual consent. In the event that there is some type of default or non-remedied dispute, legal action is permitted. It would be here, and the county could recover any legal fees that we incurred, although we hope that's not the case. We tried to think through all of that. The designer and the developer may assign some of their rights, but they must notify us. And even if they do, all of the clawback and performance requirements would have to be assigned as well. And we feel like this is a well-rounded, protected proposition that again helps induce housing that otherwise may not happen, and optimistically create tax base, but also hopefully put more available market rate homes on the market in Burke County. So at this point, I know we've talked about this several times, but the goal is for the board to formally approve the memorandum of understanding with the town, the terms and conditions of the development agreement, and then if you wish to set a public hearing as required by 160D for your May meeting, at that time we would just have the public hearing and approve. So happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manager. Any questions for Brian on this item? Seeing here none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the terms and conditions of the interlocal government agreement as presented, subject to review and or revision by the county attorney, and schedule a public hearing for May 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter as persons may be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Stroud. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. And I also entertain a motion concerning the memorandum of understanding.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the town of Valdez and authorize the county manager to execute any related documents subject to review and or revision by the county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk.
Just for clarity for the record, that was May 18th, 2026, correct, Mike Stroud, for your motion?
Did I say, what did I
You
say?
said 2025.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'll catch you up.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, thank you. Item number 3 on decision tonight, coming from the county manager, approval of engineering services contract for the landfill. Mr. Manager.
Thanks, sir. As you're aware, we went through an RFQ process back in the fall 2025 as part of our new budget following about 3 decades with environmental engineering firm called Labella that have been in our solid waste facility. One of the Board of Commissioners' top priorities is to pursue MSW development, but also right-size the business model of our solid waste facility. And that RFQ was really focused on a new partnership, a new perspective as we manage that fund. It took us until about November the 3rd when you all approved a stopgap contract with Garrett Moore, who was the selected environmental engineering firm. And since that point, we've worked on the master services agreement, which will be the multi-year scope of service and billing rates. It is not a fixed fee contract. They work on things as required by regulatory and permitting requirements, and also on projects that we may need based on rate times hours. Historically, this is about a $200,000 a year contract. But the master services agreement is provided for the board for your review, and we're asking that that you authorize us to execute so that we can really start moving forward with some of the projects that we have with Garrett Moore Engineering. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any questions on this item? Seeing here none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, excuse me, I'll make a motion to approve and ratify the master service agreement between Burke County and Garrett and Moore Incorporated for landfill engineering services.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. Decision item number 4, coming from the county manager as well, designation of deputy finance officer. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request is to approve a resolution that would authorize and deputize Chandler Baumgartner, who's here to our right. He's been a member of our finance office for some time, started as an intern, as a matter of fact, and we're pleased to have him. This would give him the authority to pre-audit, which is checking budget to make sure funds are available before any type of purchase order or appropriation is made, as well as be a signatory on our banking accounts. And that requires deputization and bonding, by the way, from this board for anyone who has that authority. And that'll just give us a little bit more bench strength inside of our finance department.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Gentlemen, you've had this resolution for review and for package. Any question on this item? Seeing here none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-12 as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Barry. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0. Item number 5 from the Finance Office, property surplus sales. This will be presented tonight by Margaret Pierce, our Finance Director and Deputy County Manager. Ms. Margaret.
Thank you. This is the 2 properties that we did not receive did not meet the reserve on the bidding process. REID 38040. We received a high bid of $18,000. The reserve was $22,500. The second is REID 38041, which had a reserve of $22,500, and we received $17,800 in bids. And we're requesting direction from the board which option you would like for us to do. We can put these back out a 3rd time with the same reserve. We could accept the bids as they are and move forward, or we could repost them with a different reserve.
Thank you, Margaret. Any questions to Margaret on this item? Gentlemen, I would just note before we take action, I looked on our tax books to these 2 properties. The read number ending in 40 is valued at $10,100 according to our tax records. And the item read number 41 ending is valued at $14,700. So for that information, for whatever it may be worth to you.
I'll just comment, Mr. Chairman. I noticed that as well today when I was looking over this, and I guess this being the 3rd time, or would have to go a 3rd time. We've already listed it twice, and it's $35,000 for about 2.5 acres of land. It's probably best to set it free, in my opinion, and hopefully somebody will do something that can generate some property tax.
Thank you, Commissioner Barry. Any other comments? Just for the record, I concur with that. With that, I'll entertain a motion, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the property sales for Reed, number 38040 Kirksey Drive, in the amount of $18,000, and Reed, number 38041 Kirksey Drive, in the amount of $17,800 as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. There's a motion. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. All right, thank you, Margaret. Item number 6, tax collection report for period ending March 31. And we'll hear from our tax administrator, Mr. Bridges. Good evening again, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The tax collections report for the month of March is in your packet on the board here. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try and answer them for you.
Okay, gentlemen, any question on this item? Seeing here none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the tax collection report as presented.
Right, Mr. Burns, all those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. Item number 7, tax release and refund report for period ending March 31, 2026, also presented by Mr. Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The report amount is $15,573.54 with a rebuild amount of $6,499.84 with a net release of $9,073.70 with no refunds. And motor vehicles, we had over $100 refund amount totaling $404.39.
All right, thank you, John. Any question on this item? Seeing here none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the tax release and refund report as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Stroud. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. Item number 8, coming from the Board of Commissioners as well as the Tax Department, acceptance of tax settlement report and appointment of interim tax administrator. And ladies and gentlemen, you understand that as John is retiring, we need to accept his final report and then to appoint an interim tax administrator. So that's what this is all about. Any questions on this item? All right, seeing here none, I will entertain 2 separate motions, please.
Mr. Chairman, first I make the motion to accept the tax settlement report as presented by John Bridgers, Tax Administrator for the period ending April 19th, 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. It's 5-0, and then a second.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to adopt resolution number 2026-11, appointing Namrita Nelson as interim tax administrator effective April 20th, 2026 at 8 a.m. and to approve the required bond.
All right, thank you, Mr. Berry. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. And at this time, we'll ask Ms. Nelson to come and we will administer the oath of office. And our interim clerk is getting to work out tonight in all kind of ways.
Repeat after me. I state your name. Namrita Nelson. Do solemnly and sincerely swear. Do solemnly and sincerely swear. That I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina. And to establish constitutional powers and authorities. And to establish constitutional powers and authorities. Which are or may be established for the government thereof. Which are or may be established for the government thereof. And that I will endeavor to. Support, maintain, and defend. Support, maintain, and defend. The Constitution of said state. The Constitution of said state. Not inconsistent. With the Constitution of the United States. With the Constitution of the United States. To the best of my knowledge and ability. To the best of my knowledge and ability. So help me God. So help me God. I state your name. I, Namrita Nelson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain the Constitution
that I will support and maintain the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and also the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
as interim tax collector,
as interim tax collector,
serving as tax collector and assessor.
serving as tax collector and assessor.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name.
I, Namrita Nelson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will well and truly
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of interim tax administrator,
of interim tax administrator,
serving as tax collector and assessor
serving as tax collector and assessor
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name.
I, Namrita Nelson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform these duties
that I will faithfully perform these duties
of the office of the tax collector,
of the office of the tax collector,
that I will collect all taxes due
that I will collect all taxes due
and account for the same
and account for the same
according to the law,
according to the law,
and that I will not allow
and that I will not allow
my actions as tax collector
my actions as tax collector
to be influenced
by
personal or political friendships or obligations.
by personal or political friendships or obligations.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, thank you, Ms. Nelson. If you can do that 4 times, I think you can do this. We look forward to working with you. Appreciate your willingness to serve in this capacity. All right. This brings us to our reports and comments tonight. Gentlemen, I would remind you, our Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting is at 3 o'clock on May the 4th. Our regular meeting for the month of May will be on May the 18th. I would remind youth groups and others who might be interested in leading our Pledge of Allegiance to let us know. We'd love to have you come and open our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and also invite religious leaders of our community to come and offer the invocation as well. All right, at this time brings us to item number 12 of our agenda, vacancy announcements. Madam Clerk, any announcements tonight?
Yes, we have several boards and committees with vacancies. We have our Adult Care and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, the Burke County Public Health Advisory Board. Particularly, we're looking for vet or pharmacies, Hickory Regional Planning Commission, the Drexel Planning Board, ETJ members, and we need an alternate for that as well. The Partners Health Management's Human Rights Committee, the Council on Aging, the Local Emergency Planning Committee, and the Burke Senior Center Advisory Council.
All right, thank you, Kat. And again, I'll encourage all of our citizens who might be interested in serving on any of these boards or commissions to please consider that and complete applications or contact the clerk's office for help with that. We certainly could use your involvement in our community and activities. At this time, I'll ask Ms. Margaret, any comments from you tonight?
No, sir, thank you.
Mr. Counselor?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Mr. Strapp?
I would just remind everybody to support America 250. Get your flags on.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
I don't think this can be said enough. I watched over the weekend as our firefighters and first responders work diligently to control fires, structure fires, wildland fires, those kind of things over the weekend. And it's imperative that we do not do outside burning at this point.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Mr. Manager?
Yeah, I'll be brief. I just excited about Citizens Academy. We completed week 2 last week. Week 3 will be on Thursday night of this week. Our budget process is moving along. Excited in May to present that to the Board of Commissioners for consideration. And Mr. Bridges, on your way out the door, I'll just say it's been a pleasure to work with you. A tremendous respect for you and your team. And I'm thankful for Ms. Nelson to step up and lead that team while we go through a recruitment process. So tip my cap to both of you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes, sir. I think we need to get Speaker Hall and Congressman Moore to carry Ms. Nelson's pledge down there and make all our legislatures and congressmen and senators take that thing on our taxes and everything. I'd like to see that.
Commissioner Berry. All right. Madam Clerk.
No comments from me tonight.
All right. Well, I don't have any other comments tonight. I appreciate your attendance tonight. Thank you for being here, being part of our meeting. And we do have a need for a closed session tonight. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential, to discuss threatened or pending litigation, to preserve the attorney-client privilege, to discuss economic development matters, to discuss contractual matters, land acquisition, and to discuss personal matters as authorized by NCGS 143-318-11A 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And if you're in favor of that motion, please indicate by the uplifted hand. 5-0. All right, this time we'll go into closed session. And again, thank you for being here tonight. All right, we'll consider ourselves seated back in open session. The board does have some action to take. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we authorize the county manager to act on the 3 tax items that were discussed in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0, Madam Clerk. With that, gentlemen, our business is finished for today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. 5-0. Thank you very much, gentlemen.